Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge with your latest Manchester United news and transfer news this Friday morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're wrapped up cold. If you're in a cold area of the world at the moment, if you saw my Instagram at GoldbridgeMark, you'll see it's bloody freezing out there. But is it freezing in Man United's transfer budget? Because David Ornstein has dropped another bomber. He is saying that Manchester United can spend in January, which leads us to this story again as to why Ineos are so slow and why they are playing Glazeronomics with Manchester United's future. We'll talk about what David Ornstein said. He's saying there is movement for Manchester United to sign players in January. We've also got a definitive update on Kvaratskhelia, who is going to move in January, according to Fabrizio. Well, not 100%, but it's on. And it could massively benefit Man United, even though we don't get him. So let's keep our eye on that. I'm talking Mendes. I've just got a feeling that 2 + 2 might equal 4 here. There is a little bit of good news around Gyökeres as well. Maybe not for January, but for this summer. We'll tell you about that. The latest on what's going on with Marcus Rashford as well. And a few other bits I want to talk about. There's a home truth I want to deliver as well. Get ready to sit down if you think we wouldn't be better off with Qatar, because I've seen some gobby prats who've been gobby 18 months ago and can't accept you're wrong. You're wrong. We wouldn't be in the same situation if the Glazers had sold the club. Stop obsessing about Qatar and whether you morally want that type of ownership, and sit down and open your ears, because of course we would be in a better situation if the Glazers had fucked off with the debt. You absolute cretins. Open your bloody ears. And if you don't, shut the show off, because you're going to get sat down. Get a bloody cushion. Hi, Mark. You're so good in this. Keep it up, says Tony. Lovely message there. Thank you very much for that on a Friday morning. Right, let's get ready to hit some transfer news here. So this is coming in from David Ornstein in relation to Manchester United's January transfer window. The way it's been explained to me, not me, this is David Ornstein, quote, the way it's been explained to me is that Manchester United are going to be okay on PSR, FFP, whatever you want to call it, this month. On the Athletic podcast, it's been explained to me that Man United are going to be okay this month. It's not like the walls are collapsing in on their financial situation. It's not great, clearly. They have got work to do, but I do think there is a bit of scope to do something in the January transfer window. So for me, in the world of transfers, you have two definitive, reliable sources, Fabrizio and David Ornstein. And David Ornstein is saying that, from what he's been told, Manchester United's financial situation is not as dire as some people are reporting, and that there is scope for Manchester United to spend money in January. And I love this update because it fits in with what I and you and others have been discussing for quite a long time. But unfortunately, we get the mainstream usual suspects who are in the press conferences with Man United every week, who aren't proper journalists because they don't write proper journalistic stories. They get fed stuff and they don't realise they may as well have PR written on their forehead, because they take a story from United, they put it out to the masses, they don't investigate it, they don't scrutinise it, they don't question it because they're scared they won't get any more stories, and they literally get told it's really difficult to spend in January because of FFP and PSR. They take that information, they print it in their paper, and they don't do anything about it. So well done to David Ornstein for actually being a consistent journalist. Somebody that actually will get more access than those prats, because he actually is a proper journalist, and Man United will respect him and give him stuff because he's a journalist who goes out and gets stories, and they want to have a relationship with him because they know he's dangerous, because he's a proper journalist. So they want to have a relationship with him, and it's born out of respect. They're not just feeding him scraps. David Ornstein has absolutely blown the doors off here because he is respected, and he's saying, look, it's not a great situation for Man United, but there is scope to spend money in January. And that's what we know. But when it comes from somebody like David Ornstein, who's respected, it's absolutely massive. We know we can spend money in January. We know the Glazers and Ineos don't want to, and that's what it comes down to. This has got nothing to do with there's no money in the pot. This has got nothing to do with Man United fans going, we completely agree we shouldn't be spending money. We need to spend. We need players. We've got a brand new manager. We've got a brand new system. We need about 8 players. It's a January transfer window. We should be bringing in as many as we can, within reason. And we're saying we can't do anything. Well, we can do stuff. We should be doing stuff. And the reason they don't want to do stuff is because the club is riddled with debt and holes created by them. So let's see what's going to happen in the next few weeks, because there is scope for Manchester United to spend money. That's where we're at. And they have to. Well, they might not to, but they might not, but they have to. Now, that leads nicely into what Fabrizio Romano has said. So this morning we've got two really good updates from the two best transfer experts, I think, in the game at the moment. David Ornstein is saying that Manchester United have got scope to spend money, regardless of PSR and FFP. They do have money to spend. Fabrizio Romano is saying that in relation to Kvaratskhelia, who a lot of United websites and channels and the mainstream are talking about because they're morons, because the story's actually moved on and they're still talking about it because they don't tap themselves into what's actually happening and research. The Kvaratskhelia deal to Manchester United is dead. There is no deal. Ornstein never mentioned us. Fabrizio hasn't mentioned us. This deal's dead. Don't even talk about it with Man United. It's gone. It's yesterday's paper. It's you know, wipe your ass with it and flush it down the toilet. We're not in for Kvaratskhelia. This is not happening. And yet still people are talking about it. Move on, ignore them. Don't let them imprint your brain with their knobheadness. This was a story for yesterday. However, the interesting thing about this today is that Fabrizio is saying that PSG wanted Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia last summer and were willing to pay in excess of 150 million euros for the pair. PSG want Kvaratskhelia. The price this January is 80 million euros. You can understand why we're not in the race. Well, we're not in the race anyway because we can't offer him anything. We're not in the Champions League, etc. But we're not in the race. Why is it relevant to United? Well, Fabrizio is saying, look, PSG want him. This can happen in January. It's shocking, but it can because of the contract. His wage is a little bit like Manu. He's on the same contract he signed at Napoli years ago. Obviously, he's not on the money he should be on. He won't sign a new contract at Napoli, so they've got to cash in. And that's why it can happen in January. PSG need to raise money. Mendes, I just saw the word there. Elias Medeb is absolutely correct. Mendes. I have a feeling, and look, I might be doing a Ricky here and doing 2 + 2 is Matic mark, but I have a feeling that there is a story here that could develop over the next couple of weeks. Kvaratskhelia to PSG. I'd rather he goes to PSG than Liverpool or Chelsea. He goes to PSG for 80 million. We take Mendes to help them get the 80 million. Bada bing, bada boom. Very, very similar to what happened in the summer with the Benfica midfielder, and we took Ugarte. We've walked this path before, and it's starting to make sense. We take Mendes, they get Kvaratskhelia. They take a player in January they desperately want and didn't think they could get and need to get the money for now, and we help them with that by taking a player that wants to come to us and doesn't want to be there anymore. Bada bing, bada boom. Neves, João Neves, Benfica, goes to PSG. We take Ugarte. Happy days. Kvaratskhelia goes to PSG. We take Mendes. Happy days. So that, to me, based on those two stories from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, is a logical story. I feel like Mark Scorsese or Christopher Goldbridge, Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese. I feel like I've been given a couple of ideas and I've made a masterpiece film out of it. So I might be pissing up the wrong tree here, but I do think that there might be something we can do here. Look, Mawani from PSG makes sense to me, but it's not going to give them the money to get Kvaratskhelia. Like, I think they need to build 80 million euros somehow, and we can help them do that by taking Mendes. And what you've got here, I mean, look, it might be too logical for Man United. I mean, you know, this is why one of us should be CEO or director of football, because we actually understand football, watch football, listen to football. I don't think Ineos or the Glazers have ever shown any evidence yet that they actually are in tune with how football works. But hopefully they will, because it's the same as Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz wants to leave Juventus. Juventus want Douglas Luiz to go. We need a replacement for Casemiro. They want Marcus Rashford or Xerxes. Oh my God, is it really that hard? Do I have to do the deal for you? And the same thing's happening with PSG. Kvaratskhelia wants to go to PSG. Napoli want to sell him to PSG. PSG need to find 80 million euros. Mendes wants to come to Man United. PSG don't really want to sell him, but he won't sign a new contract. We can get some money to use towards... It's logical. And these are the sort of deals that Man City and Liverpool and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich have been doing for years. The logical deal that benefits everybody. That's actually not that difficult. You just got to put your hand in your pocket. Let's see. Let's see what happens with it. Would I be happy with that? Personally, it's not a deal that makes me go, oh my God, we're back. But it very much is a deal that Amorim wants to do. And that is what I'm locked in on. Remember, Mendes is Portuguese. He's also left-footed. He's also an attacking left-back. We haven't got a left-back. Amorim is Portuguese. You can understand why he would want this player. I'm worried about his injury record. I'm worried about his adaptability to the Premier League. But it's not me signing. This is what Amorim wants. So United should be doing it. It's as simple as that for me. Any news on Nipan, says MM Games? No. I was told about 6 weeks ago and again 3 weeks ago, keep an eye on that. Rosenberger in the off-season for Norway. He's meant to be travelling around Europe speaking to clubs. I believe talks took place with Manchester United, but maybe... Look, not all talks lead to a deal, do they? But it's gone very quiet on that at the moment. We must keep in mind that outgoings such as Rashford, Antony and Casemiro reduce the wage bill for us and improve the PSR FFP figures by the summer. Thus, business right now will only be good for us. Thank you very much, Hitan. Remind Johnny, without a H, Pratt, twat, or word of your choice. Many regards. Big up the United stand from Luke Birch. Johnny, you're getting it. Johnny without an H. Afternoon, Mark from Australia, says Luke Maguire. Been watching since 2017. You're a legend. Always looking forward to your shows to listen to on the way to work. Thanks for your efforts. Thanks, Luke, and thank you very much for your very generous super chat this morning. You're a very valuable member of our community. Patrick Lynch as well says, my frustration with Ineos is it's either mixed messages or pure silence. When we do hear something, it's often got constraints. That's why fans want the full sale. The club being run without worrying, says Patrick. Thank you very much, Patrick. Hope you're doing well this morning. Man United fan for life is 12 months anniversary of being a member. Let's get a shout out for him. Get your badge in. You're a legend, mate. Thank you very much for that. Maybe I missed it, but is Casemiro off to Saudi Arabia, says Sam Brox, one of our other members. I think, just very quickly, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about this morning. And obviously, we've started off talking with big updates from Ornstein and Romano. We've still got a little bit more coming from Romano. With regards to outgoings, it's very boring. Casemiro, Saudi, at some point in the next three weeks. Rashford, leaving probably Italy at some point in the next 3 weeks. Antony, somewhere at some point in the next 3 weeks, probably the last couple of days of the window, if we're being honest. What I don't want to happen is I don't want to be having this chat in literally 3 weeks. The final day of the transfer window is 3 weeks today. January the 31st is a Friday in 3 weeks. I don't want to be sat here on Friday morning in 3 weeks going, hopefully Rashford, Casemiro and Antony go today. And then we get them all out and then the club go, another Glazer-nomics tactic. We've got no time. There's no time to do anything now. We've saved a load of money, but there's no time. Because I tell you what, you need to lock in on that one. If we get rid of Casemiro, Rashford and Antony, and we, save ourselves, look, 350k a week on Casemiro, half of Rashford's wage takes it to 500,000, half of Antony's wage takes it to 600k. Man United could be saving 600k a week by the end of January. Between end of January and end of June, that's 5 months of 600k a week. So that's 2.4 million times 5. That's 12 million saved by getting rid of those 3 players for 6 months. if they do it on January the 31st, that 12 million's in their skyrocket pocket. Off we go. Watch out for that. We've already, as John said last night, we've already had a few traditional Glazonomic things happen. Ahmad's new deal in the middle of a transfer window. It's like a new signing. Take your time on moving people out. Oh, we've run out of time, but we've saved ourselves a load of money. What's this Brian Mbumo story, says Greg. Oh, Greg, you've got to bring it down. I'm in the midst of really good updates from Ornstein and Romano. We've got one from Portugal about Gyökeres. You're dropping an article from the Daily Star. You may as well have dropped it from your arse. Mbumo to Man United in January for 40 million, courtesy of the Daily Star. If you don't know what the Daily Star is, I used to have a paper round 30 years ago. I used to do the morning round because the evening round was the same paper. It was called the Evening Post. It was the same paper. I did the morning round because although you had to get up early, this was at a time where there was no social media. So I would get up early at 6 o'clock, go down to the paper shop, get all my papers, go and deliver them. Everyone used to get a paper in those days, and different houses had different papers. So Mr. and Mrs. Biggins would have the Daily Mail, the posh lot would have the Times. You go around the council estate, it'd all be Daily Mirror, the Sun. You would get a few morons who got the Daily Star. Now, young Goldbridge would be walking around on his paper round, back pages, sometimes page 3, back pages, if you know, you know, back pages, reading all, scanning them, different journalists, different stories. You know, when it was Daily Star, forget about it. I wouldn't even deliver it. They'd complain to the newsagents every morning, where's my Daily Star? And the owner would go, look, you know what he's like. He's the GOAT newspaper delivery in the area. He will not deliver the Daily Star. Please order the Sun, the Mirror, or the Mail. I want the Star. He won't deliver it. He'll just he'll throw it away. He won't even read it. He won't even wipe his arse with it. So yeah, I've never in my life had any respect for the Daily Star when it comes to football news. So yeah, that's where we are with that. I was like a mini Romano on the school book. I mean, it's in my book, but there it is. There's the book. Get the book. It's in the book. I was like a mini Romano. I'd get on the bus at 8 o'clock, and because nobody had the internet or anything like that, I'd literally be able to tell everybody all the transfer news because they were all lazy gits who were getting up at like 10 to 8 for the school bus. Eric Marsh says, hi Mark, subscribed in 2014. Always enjoy the shows. Really appreciate all you and the crew do for the community. Have a great day. You too as well, Eric. 69 months a member, Eric. What a number. Amorim promoted Mendes to first team at Sporting, says Cameron. Mendes played over 40 games at Sporting under Amorim before moving. They have an excellent relationship. Yeah, you can understand Chuffbridge, great name. You can understand both Chuffbridge and Cameron Aitken there making very good points about Mendes. Whether we think he's right or not, this is the golden ticket to Amorim. And I think, if you're tuning in a little bit late, as David Ornstein has said, Man United have got some money. As Romano has said, Kvaratskhelia wants to go to PSG, but they need to get 80 million euros. We're not in for Kvaratskhelia, but we have got a pathway to Mendes that might have become more easy now. I would be reading the story like this. At the start of the week, we were getting told Mendes wants Man United want Mendes, but it can't be done in January. It's going to be a summer deal. We're now getting PSG need to raise money to get Kvaratskhelia in January. This could open the door to Mendes in January. It should open the door to it, but let's not forget who our owners are. Man United, I think, can get Mendes in January. But our owners will be going, and this is why we fail, by the way. The Glazers and probably Ineos will be going, they'll be panicking. Got to lose my job. They'll be panicking. They'll be going, if we get Mendes now, as a football team, we'll be better. But if we get him in July, that's 6 months down the line, new financial fair play year. It just looks better on the Excel spreadsheet. And that's what we are. We're a business. We're not a football club. Because I reckon we can get Mendes now. I really do. And I think a football club would go and get him. But a business will go, spreadsheet, June the 30th, end of the financial year. Let's wait. And that fucks up your Europa League, your FA Cup. So that would be my concern. And just quickly before we move on, because I've still got more to talk about, I got sent, I do get sent a lot, and I don't always read it, but I got sent something from one of our United Stand group chats last night about some prats on social media. There's lots of them. I'm one sometimes. Basically saying that we wouldn't be in a better position if Qatar had bought Man United. We'd be in a worse one because their regime is sickening and we don't want them anywhere near Manchester United. And I thought, you know what? Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Absolutely fine. If you don't like the idea of being owned by Qatar or Saudi Arabia or Sheikh Mansour or anything like that, that's absolutely fine. You know, you crack on with that. You know, if you don't want to eat meat, that's absolutely fine. But don't start talking shit to suit your dislike of sovereign states owning football clubs. The bottom line is, take Ineos away, take Qatar away, and look at it like this. What was better for Manchester United? Somebody bailing the Glazers out, coming in and letting them still own the club and keep the debt, or nobody doing that and the Glazers being forced to sell and the new owner comes in and clears the debt and starts building a new stadium straight away. Remove your head from your arse and smell the coffee and wake up, you absolute turbo prats. There ain't nobody out there. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big a state. You can be Gary Neville, you can be Fabrizio Romano. Come on the United Stand and I dare you to tell us that Man United would not be in a better position if the Glazers had sold up. It's the most open goal, obvious thing in a life that's not obvious you'll ever know. If the Glazers had gone and a new owner had come in, we would be sat here today in a much better position. I can't predict what would have happened in the transfer window because I don't know what they would have done in the summer and I don't know what they'd be doing now. I guarantee it'd probably be better, but we wouldn't be in debt. The stadium would be being renovated or rebuilt and there'd be a load of money being pumped into the area because that's what the sale was all about. Where we are now is the debt's still here, the Glazer's still here, Old Trafford's still rusting and rotting. Forget your political or moral obligations about what you think about Qatar. The question is, would we be in a better position today if the Glazers had sold and not done a deal with Ineos? And absolutely, not 90%, not 99%, not 99.9%, 100%, only an idiot would think we wouldn't be in a better position if the Glazers had gone and took their debt with them and we had owners that were going to pump money in. We would be in a better position. You might not be comfortable with that position, but we would be in a better position. We would be debt-free, the stadium would be worked on, and we wouldn't be making people redundant, we wouldn't be cutting money to charities, we'd be regenerating the club and the area, because that's what was on the table. So don't listen to these morons who try, because their head is so firmly rammed up the arse of the Glazers and Ineos, they try to convince you that we might not be in a better position if the club had been sold and the debt had gone. It's idiotic. It's like having a house that's full of shit and somebody saying, I know a year ago somebody was going to come in and renovate it and clean it, but you might not be in a better position now. Come on. Mendes done that one from Chuffbridge. Carl Richard says, Mark, what youth players do you hope to see go out on loan and get some experience? Also, can we sell any players for not named for fee in January, says Kyle. I don't mind who goes out on loan, mate, because as I said last night, I don't think there's going to be many first team opportunities for young players between now and the summer. So Dan Gore, Amas, Collier, Hugel, whoever else, I don't mind if they all go on loan because I don't think there's going to be many opportunities because I don't think Amorim wants to use them in this difficult circumstances. Ali says, when are we signing Mbappe, Valverde and Davies? I'm hearing probably by about midday, mates. Enjoy your day. Thank you very much for that. Okay, right, let's move on a little bit. Some really good updates this morning coming in from Fabrizio and David Ornstein. I'm not going to repeat myself on that, but check out the first few minutes. There is a little bit more from Fabrizio. It's about Rashford. I know everyone gets a bit bored about Rashford. The big thing about Rashford for me is the only story I'm interested in now is where's he going. this has been going on for weeks. We've had the interview. He's been dropped. He's been ill. The PR's been going back and forward. I feel like both parties have grown up a little bit in the last few days. It's been quite a good week around Rashford. We've not had any leaks about, this, that, and the other. It's just very much about where's he going on loan, and I think that's all we need to do is just get to the point of where he's going to go on loan. Marcus Rashford has said this. Fabrizio Romano has said this. Basically, Milan and Juventus have held talks with Rashford's people. There are potentially going to be other talks as well with other clubs, and it's just about making a decision. I don't know why these things take so long. You could get frustrated with it. You could get confused with it. I mean, at the end of the day, he hasn't played football in a month. If I was him, I would be on the back of my agent saying, I want to be playing this weekend. I don't know why it's not moving any quicker, but look, on the other side, you want to make the right decision. But the sooner you're playing, the sooner you're in the shop window, the sooner you've got a chance of doing it whatever you want to do with the rest of your career. So I think with Rashford, the updates from Fabrizio is that, and he is well tapped in on this, is that talks in Italy, but might be other talks with other clubs. You just wonder why they can't just get it moving a little bit quicker. Elliot Holmstrom says, listening to a well-respected and informed Norwegian journalistic page, guys who have access to info on economics really say it depends on outgoings. Yeah, well, look, I think FFP, as we've spoken about before, there are really good people who know a lot about this, but on a very, very basic level, your wages and transfers cannot exceed your revenue, and Man United are very, very close to that. But if you reduce your wages and you reduce your outgoings, then it gives you more money to spend. Obviously, removing people like Casemiro and Anthony's wages, etc., does help us. Ji-Sung Park says, I want your opinion on something's been circulating by fans lately that I'm not considered a United legend. Do you agree or not? Is Ji-Sung Park a legend? Well, I'm going to put that to the chat. Is Park a legend? Yes or no? There you go. Thanks for your super chat. James Clough says, this is why we fail. If roles were reversed, PSG do a loan with an obligation to buy with us, almost like Qatari ownership would be better. Look, James, I purposely didn't talk about Qatar. I spoke about whether we'd be better without the Glazers and the debts, and obviously we would. What is interesting about Qatari ownership is that if you want to analyse that, look at the way that PSG have been run and are being run, and you look at what happened in the summer with João Neves, and you look at what is happening now with Kvaratskhelia, they are very aggressive in what they do. I wouldn't say they're the most aggressive football club out there. I think Chelsea, Real Madrid can be quite aggressive as well, but they're not a football club that piss about. MMA Takedown says, I'm waiting for the Sancho question. The Athletic is becoming a Sir Jim Radcliffe mouthpiece, says Paul. Look, our relationship with Manchester United is mediocre. As the United stand, it's mediocre. I don't mind answering these questions because I think knowledge is power and the truth sets you free. This is football, it's not politics. Our relationship with Manchester United is mediocre. There are good relationships, there are bad relationships. But I think that's the way it should be. That's the way you would want it to be. Whether people like it or not, this is a community. It's a very big community. It's the original community. When other people were starting on YouTube, it was all pre-recorded and we were doing live content. Now a lot of people do live content, and live content builds you a community. We are a community. And I think as a community, you have a responsibility. A year ago, we did an interview with Rasmus. Most of you liked it, but the flip side of that was, oh, it's a bit cozy with Rasmus. Why aren't you doing an interview with Rashford? No, you won't do it because he doesn't like you, etc. So there are negatives to those sort of things. I think journalism is the ability to have mediocre relationships with people that you talk about. It shouldn't be toxic, but it shouldn't be too cozy. Modern journalism is cozy. You look at the relationship between the PGMOL and radio stations like TalkSport, Sky Sports, TNT, fortnightly meetings, they get on. It's cozy. What does that lead to? I don't think it leads to proper scrutiny of the officiating in this country, which has been shit for years. Look at the journalism around Manchester United and other clubs. Journalistic outlets like the Manchester Evening News, the Daily Mail, the Athletic, the Telegraph, they're all competing with each other because they're all competing for your eyes. Do you go down the mediocre relationship with Manchester United where you put bad articles out and good articles out, or do you try and get more information by being a bit of a mouthpiece? What has happened to journalism in football, and I would say in society in general over the last decade, is that media outlets have become more cozy and less mediocre. And that's why the good journalists stand out. This is why people like Piers Morgan and even, dare I say, Elon Musk at the moment have big followings, because they might talk shit at times, but they don't have cozy relationships. They have mediocre relationships. And that is, if you're looking to go into journalism, I think this is the future of journalism, to actually be not too cozy. And I think that I don't read The Athletic because I don't actually believe in subscription models. Nothing pisses me off more than clicking on an article and it says, if you want to read this article, pay us this amount of money. That never used to happen when I was growing up. I understand that, you know, people don't buy newspapers anymore, but there is a lot of advertising on websites already. So I don't necessarily agree with it. But these people have got big money involved, and everybody has cozy relationships in the media. I don't think there is look, we're having quite a good conversation here, but it might be boring to people, so let's talk about Gyökeres. But before we do, I've said this to you for a long time. I think football journalism in this country is shit. Really, really shit. Nobody is scratching below the surface. You know, you look at what's happened with Mudryk and this drugs allegation. Has there been anybody looking at the bigger picture in football? No, they haven't. You look at Man United, the Glazers still own 50%. Everybody knows that Joel Glazer was hands-on day to day. We've had no stories about what Joel Glazer does for 18 months, yet he still owns 50%. People just sweep the big stories under the carpet and say, and boomo to Man United. And nobody wants to go and get the truth because they're all cozy. Journalism is not as good as it used to be, in my opinion. Nuno Mendes is one of the fastest players in the world. He would give us much needed pace as Red Devil. Amorim promoted Mendes. We've done that one from Cameron. Is Blanc part of Ineos? Agent plays big role, in my opinion, says Akil. Yeah, there is a Blanc involved at Man United. He's on the board. Do you think all the players know about us? Says Yetch. Oh, 100%, mate. Bloody hell. Man United players, Liverpool players, Arsenal players, they're on social media probably as much as you are. They're seeing everything you're seeing on TikTok, on Twitter, 100%. They make out they don't, but they are terrible. You know, a player goes into the dressing room, they're on their phone before they're hugging their teammate after a win. They absolutely are fully aware of what's going on, which is why some of them are on social media answering DMs and liking tweets. It's just the modern way it goes. The volume is a bit low today. I know why. Sorry about that. Can you please estimate the probability of different United players leaving? Casemiro, Rashford, Xerxes, Anthony. I'd say 90% Casemiro, so we're in the 90% club. Rashford going on loan, I would say 75%. Xerxes leaving in January, I would say 50-50. Anthony going in January, I would say 75%. So 75% Anthony, 75%, 80% Rashford, 90% Casemiro, 50% Xerxes. I think that's about fair on that. That was from Texas Eddie. Thank you very much for your super chat. Mad says, morning Mark and chat. Not sure how true this is tweet, but apparently Gyökeres has a gentleman's agreement to leave for 65 million this summer with Sporting. I'm literally about to talk about that. And Ali said, when's Mr. Shaw, your mum's on benefits, getting sold? Who's going to buy him? Who's going to buy him? Exactly. Nick P says, Park is not a legend. He's more of a cult hero. Sorry, G. Well, 82% of you think that Ji-sung Park is a legend and 18% of you say it isn't. I don't think he is a legend for me. It's a very personal thing. Legend club for me is small. But it's like world class. World class club for me is small. Legend club is small. I don't think people like John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Ji-sung Park are legends, but a lot of people do. For me, there is a difference between a Ji-sung Park, a John O'Shea, and a Roy Keane and a David Beckham. And I don't just throw them all in together. I think there has to be tiers, and there will be tiers because I'm saying this, but I love Ji-sung Park, I love John O'Shea, I love Wes Brown, and they're definitely Man United greats. But legend is a tier above, and you know we're talking George Best, Sir Bobby Charlton, Duncan Edwards, Dennis Law, Brian Robson, David Beckham, Eric Cantona, Roy Keane. We're talking legends. Are we going to throw in John O'Shea and Ji-sung Park? If you want to, that's absolutely fine. But for me, I like a differential. I want another stage. I want another stage. But Ji-sung Park, John O'Shea, Wes Brown, they're on levels above Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Of course they are. Anyway, let me talk to you about this Gyökeres story. Lots of people tuning in this morning. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe. Remember, I'm just about to find out, actually. I'll find out for you now. What time is Amorim's press conference today? We'll find out. Okay, this is coming in from The Record, which is a Portuguese outlet. They are saying United could be able to sign Gyökeres for a fraction of the price that is mentioned in his release clause. The release clause is £83 million, and that's in his contract. However, a gentleman's agreement is thought to be in place that would allow Gyökeres to leave the club for as little as 58 million. So he could, instead of 83 million, he could be going for 60 million in the summer, which I actually think is encouraging because our relationship with Sporting is very good, and the way we negotiated with Sporting for Amorim was very respectable, and with Bruno. So if that release clause is 83 million, Sporting are a very good club. They're not going to do us a favour. But if there is a gentleman's agreement in place with the player, I would imagine Sporting would honour that, which brings that price down to a much more appetising deal for Man United. Look, Gyökeres for £60 million is a good deal. Some of you would do it for 83, but I think £60 million for Gyökeres is palatable, and it's also the same as what we played for Rasmus. Now, obviously, Rasmus is younger, but I think Gyökeres for 60 million. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. So let's see. Look, that's for the summer. That's not for now. But you know, he might end up going somewhere else. But I don't think. The thing that encourages me about that is that if it's 83 million and there's a bidding war, that's going to kill our budget on a striker when we need a few players. If it's 60 million. I think you can buy a 60 million striker and still wander off into the market for other things as well. So let's wait and see, because we're going to have to bring a striker into this club permanently before next season. And I know there's talk of Moani on loan, but I like the idea of Moani on loan, but I don't necessarily like the idea of Moani being our guy for the next 3 years. Ryan Giggs is a legend to everyone but his brother, says Quinn. And I think they go into the hero category. Park is definitely a club hero, in my opinion. Keep up the good work, Mark, says Irish. Thank you very much. So I'm not Keane level. I'm McTominay level, says Ji-sung Park. You didn't listen, did you? You've not listened. Thank you very much for that. There was something else I wanted to bring in here. Spoke about that. What else was there I wanted to talk about? Something else. We've done that one as well. Do you think Rashford will play at the weekend? I would be absolutely stunned. I'd be absolutely stunned if Marcus Rashford was involved against Arsenal. it wouldn't make any sense for the simple reason that what if he gets injured? You know, and what does that do for Amorim as well? I think that there's been a line drawn in the sand here, and I think it will be. I don't think he'll be involved at the weekend. Also, we played well against Spurs, against Liverpool. So no, I don't think he'll be involved. Apparently, Mason Mount's put a picture of himself on a bike, a proper bike, not a. You know, some people call other things bikes. It's his birthday today, and they've done he's done a bit of that. So Mason Mount probably not that far off coming back. There is sorry, I know I'm coming across as really uninterested, but you know what? It reminds me of, you know, going round to friends for dinner on a Friday night, and every time you go around there, the food's crap, and then you get told we're going round in a couple of weeks, and your expectations of a good meal are just on the floor. I just maybe I'll be wrong at some point, but Luke Shaw or Mason Mount coming back from injury is just not exciting, because they'll be injured again very, very quickly, in my opinion. Diego Leon will travel to Manchester United this Saturday to get his medical and get to know the club. He'll then rejoin Paraguay's under-20s and travel to the South American Championship. I think he's coming in the summer, isn't he? Apparently, Rashford has followed Rafael Leao on Instagram. I don't know whether that's accurate. I would have thought he might have followed him anyway. Let's have a look what people are saying in the chat. Amazing, by the way. I have to shout this out because you are incredible. We only hit 2 million a couple of weeks ago, and we've already had another 15,000 new subscribers. So thanks to everyone who gets involved. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Maybe we will hit 3 million. I mean, I never thought we'd hit 2, but maybe we will hit 3 million one day. But we don't want to get greedy. It's an amazing community, and you are absolute legends. So thanks to everyone who's subscribing. Do that through the bottom right-hand corner. I actually recorded this morning a bit of a preview for the Arsenal game with Robbie that's going on That's Football. We do win, lose or draw over there every week at the moment, but we spoke this morning mostly about the Man United Arsenal game. Very excited about it, and reading some of the comments under the preview last night, which you can check out on the channel, somebody made a very good point, that I'd made a good point, about the fact that we actually are the FA Cup holders. And too many fans are not remembering that. We're going into this game going, oh, hopefully we can give Arsenal a game. We're the fucking holders of the tournament. We should be going in there giving them more than a good game. Like, we are the holders of the FA Cup. We shouldn't be going down to London going, we're in London, aren't we? Let's disappear into this cold Sunday night. No, we should be bloody having a good go. We're the holders of the cup. We're not going to do anything in the league, so we've got to give them a bloody good game on Sunday. Sahaj says that Park could have been a legend if he won the 2011 final for us. That is basically the difference between a legend and a good player. Ollie is a legend. I don't think it is actually about what trophies you've won, because Luke Chadwick's won the Premier League and Steven Gerrard never has. Steven Gerrard's still a legend of Liverpool, and Chadwick's not a legend of Man United. So I don't think trophies make it. Brian Robson was a legend of Man United before he won a Premier League at the end of his career. So I don't think it is necessarily about what you win. But look, there was a time where I thought we are so blessed. We've got so many players that are legends of this football club. You know, the list is endless. And it just seemed like it was going to get added to again and again and again and again. Oh my God. Oh my God, I've just been sent a screenshot of another Man United outlet who are leading with Mbeumo bid. Fucking hell. And the United stands apparently clickbait. Come on. Fucking just go back to what I said about Mbeumo. If you're leading on Mbeumo, fucking hell. Absolute clickbait pricks. There's a story from David Ornstein and there's a story from Fabrizio Romano, and you're leading on a Daily Star story from Mbeumo. For fuck's sake, do some bloody homework. No wonder we're the best. No wonder we are the best. No wonder you are the best. NHS to buy Shaw for research purposes, says Ryan. And why not play Anthony as a striker, says Eric. Thank you very much for that. I'd take Mbumo, but we're not in for a Mbumo. The story is absolutely shit. Yeah, but going back to that legends thing, so like Ryan says, doesn't like we'll have any legends anytime soon. There was a time up until 2013 where these legends were just popping up all over the place. Since then, I don't think there has been one. I mean, David De Gea, I would say is a United great. I don't think he's a legend. But he has won a Premier League and he did win Player of the Year a lot. But I don't think David De Gea is a legend. I mean, I wouldn't put David De Gea in the same category as David Beckham or Eric Cantona. I might put De Gea in the same area as a Wes Brown or someone like that, a United great, but not a legend. But other than that, in the last 11 years, there are no legends. I don't know whether there's any greats. Some people want to put Rashford and Bruno in there, but for me, if you want to put Rashford and Bruno in there, should you not be putting Pogba in there as well? I mean, like, Pogba did have a good couple of years at United. So I don't think if we are setting standards over the last 11 years, we haven't had a great, and we certainly haven't had a legend, because you're dropping the standards down. How good would a Rashford or Bruno be in an 08 season or a 99 season or another Premier or a 94 season? They'd be on the, I don't even know if they'd be on the bench. And I lived it. I'm not speculating, I lived it. There ain't no way Bruno Fernandes would be anywhere near a starting lineup that was a decent United team. And I'm not saying he's not one of our best players now, but that's why we're not consistently fighting for titles. That's why we're 14th in the league, because these players actually aren't good enough. The standards would be dropping. There's a story just dropped as well, coming in from, it's a crap source. Absolutely crap. Absolutely crap. Yeah, I'm not even going to name the person. They basically put it out this morning, what I said last night. So I can't believe people nick stories. I got it from Italy. So AC Milan are looking to sell Okafor to Leipzig, which will give them money to get Rashford. But we spoke about this last night. Slow sports news. It's not new news. Gigsy's the best left winger England never had, says Ray. And the Daily Star is maturing like a Berbatov highlights reel. I can't believe people are reacting to it, says Nick P. It isn't about the trophies, Mark. It's about their impact in a big game. Park was supposed to mark Messi in the final, and Ollie was sent in to win in '99, says Sahaj. Never thought we'd be having an Ollie versus Park debate. Rinel, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for that. And Ali says, do you genuinely think we'll ever be a big team again under this manager and ownership? Also, I don't think we'll ever succeed with Onana in goals, says Ali. Look, you've probably just made a very, very good point about why Man United are where they are. You can't be winning titles with weaknesses, and you can't be 14th in the league unless you've got a lot of weaknesses. So therefore, you can't assess a situation and not say, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I think when you look at Man United, you know, if you think that the goalkeeper is a weakness, I'm not going to scream and shout and say you don't know what you're on about. If you say that, you know, you don't think Bruno is good enough, then, you know, I'm not going to scream and shout about that either, because ultimately, this is what a community is all about. This is what a fan's being about. We've been bad for 11 years. I think nothing's off the table. Really. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Okay. Right, okay, we're back at half past one. We've got some good content for you today. Check out That's Football, because Robbie's on there and we're talking about Man United Villa. That's coming out at about 11:30. We've got the Amorim press conference, which, as we know, Amorim's press conferences are always great. I'm with you at 8 o'clock tonight. I think we've got quite a bit of stuff. And obviously, if anything breaks, we'll go live as well, which is happening a lot lately as well. Absolute legends this morning. Loved the show. Hope you did as well. Really good when you get good updates. Not Mbumo Daily Star updates, but Ornstein and Rashford, Romano. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but logically, there are two things United should be doing in January. Juventus, let them have Rashford or Xerxes and bring Douglas Luiz in. Get rid of Casemiro. PSG, give them the money to get Kvaratskhelia by buying Mendes. Let's see if we've got anything in us to do those sort of things. Patrice Evra says, I'm a legend for sure, and I love the game. Is Patrice and Evra? We'll talk. Is Patrice and Evra? Yes, he is. Is Patrice Evra a legend? Maybe we can. Maybe this is the perfect conversation for about 8:30 tonight when the red wine's kicking in. We'll go through players and whether they're a legend or not. 80% of you think Park's a legend. I disagree. I think he's great. Thank you very much. Speak to you in a bit. Take care.